Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Rent-Free History. I'm your host, Kemdi, and today I'm joined by...
I'm Mixtly.
How are you doing today, Mixley?
Doing pretty good. What about you?
I'm doing all right. A little tired. Been up since like 6 a.m., but that's pretty much all days this week, so...
Feel like that sometimes.
Yeah, feel like that sometimes.
Let's get this history on.
Yes. So Mixley, of course, I know from, I actually met you last semester in the editing labs at Cal State Fullerton.
Very true.
And then we started working together. We're both interns for Titan TV. We work for a couple shows, Titan Tonight, Titan Weekly. You also do the host Titan Tonight. You want to talk about that experience a little bit before we go into this history?
Oh, yeah, sure. Why not? So as my dearest friend Kemdi just said, we do work together on a lot of these projects. I do help write for Titan Weekly and Titan Radio Live, and then I do Titan Tonight. I anchor with AJ. She's super cool. If you guys ever decide to look it up, you'll see both of us on there. And then Kemdi, if I don't have it incorrectly, I know that you also anchor for a show as well.
Yes, I anchor for Insider. It hasn't come out yet, but
I know. Yeah, I think, actually, I don't even think any of mine have come out either, but it's okay. Someday,
I've heard that
someday
actually.
They'll see us.
Someday.
But in the meantime, they'll just hear us.
Yes.
Do you want to get started?
Yeah, let's get started. So, how this show works is either I provide a topic or the guest provides a topic, and you decided to provide the topic today, and you wanted to talk about the Aztecs.
Yes, fun fact, my name is actually Aztec. I'm named after an Aztec princess and a legend in Mexico.
Really?
Yes. So if you look up the legend of Mixtly, you'll see an entire little Google history search of essentially the legend. And the way the legend goes is that this Aztec princess Mixtly, she falls in love with one of the warriors who vows to, in order to gain her hand in marriage in exchange, he vows to go defeat a neighboring kingdom, and when he returns, they will wed. So he leaves, and little does he know that another warrior decides to come back early and spreads the news that the warrior has died. And so, heartbroken, Mixtly, she dies of a heartbreak.
Wow.
Is essentially what happens. She doesn't want to live in a world where her, beloved is not with her. And so when the warrior actually returns and finds her dead, obviously he is struck with grief, and he decides to take her up to the mountains. Now, this is kind of where it gets a little different, because people say that he actually built the mountains, or he told everyone to build a mountain, or I don't know if he goes to one instead. Point is, he goes up to a mountain and shows Mixley up to the gods. He takes her body there, and he essentially grieves and tells the gods to bring them back together, or to figure out a way to have them together forever. And he feels horrible for having left her and making her feel unprotected. So the gods see this, feel pity, and they decide to end up turning both of them into volcanoes. So you can actually see these volcanoes in Mexico. If you go to Mexico, you'll see one that looks like a sleeping woman, and the other one looks like the face of a man watching over her, protecting her as she sleeps. And they are together forever. Or at least until these mountains erode into nothing. But yeah,
that's pretty hot. Sorry, that was a terrible joke. But
no,
I think I might have actually heard that story before. But
yeah, it's pretty popular in Mexico. But so maybe you have. But today we're talking about the Aztec sacrifices that they would make to the gods.
Also, one more point on that Mixley story. Is that Romeo and Juliet inspired in any way, or?
Not really. I guess you could say it's Mexico's version of Romeo and Juliet. I feel like it doesn't follow the pattern, because it wasn't the dad was no one was against them being together. It was just unfortunate circumstances.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we delve into all this research that we did, what is let's both share our knowledge of what we already knew about the Aztecs prior.
Okay.
So when I think of the Aztecs, I think of middle school, because that's where I learned the most about the Aztecs. I learned about Montezuma and Hernan Cortez, basically the end of the Aztec Empire when like the two of them met. I remember I was watching this documentary about it. It was like this really significant moment in history. The two of them met. He basically thought Cortez was a god, and he showered him with all this wealth and stuff like that. And basically, he just like turned his own subjects against him. That's really all I knew at the time.
I see. Well, I mean, that's kind of like that's a good place to start off to branch out from.
Yeah.
And clearly, it piqued your interest later on. So I think for me, I honestly didn't really look into it until I was like maybe in high school, because like I just vaguely knew of it, just based off the stuff my family would tell me. I later on found out that my brother's actually, because like his dad, he comes from a line of descendants of Mayans, so my brother is technically like he has like Mayan ancestry. Which I think is pretty cool. And that made me think like, like this is so interesting. Let me look into this more. And so I started looking into more of like the Aztecs and the Mayans. And that's kind of where it started for me. Yeah. Also, I used it to like win an argument once.
Really? What was the argument?
It was like something really like sexist or like racist, something like that. And they were like, oh, well, it's tradition. And I was like, oh, well, traditionally, the Aztecs would, kill people and then eat them. So, I mean, hey, that's cool. That's my culture. Should I just do that? And then they kind of just like, I was like, see, like, sometimes just because it happens doesn't mean that we should continue to do it.
Some things need to end. I
can vow now that I will not sacrifice and eat anyone.
Yeah. Never comes into my head that, like, I should appease the gods.
Yeah. It's kind of hot lately. We need some rain. So, yeah.
Okay, so, I wrote about the, how, like, all I thought about initially was the conquering of the Americas. But there's, like, a lot more to this like society than that, especially like societies like the Maya and the Inca, like they're really just kind of brushed over in like school.
Yeah.
And I really feel like they should be covered more because there's like a lot of interesting stuff, like just some trademarks of the Aztecs, for example, slash and burn agriculture, which isn't always great, but it was kind of necessary for like the area that they were living in because it was kind of like unfarmable to a degree.
Exactly.
You have irrigation, aqueducts, universal education, which is like crazy that was like a thought thing back then. And
yeah, exactly. They were also like very clean. Like they loved showers. Like they would take multiple showers throughout the day. People don't know that. And like their clays and stuff, they would make like their own soaps and all that. Yeah.
It is crazy how like recently like showering just became like a normal thing. Like people just before that, they would just, I can't imagine how like
we were dirty for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like we would I remember I had at some point in one of my history classes the teacher, because this was like I learned it in high school, they were like, oh yeah, technically we would shower like once a month, and like that was like our thing, and I was like, once a month? Oh no. I would like, I get like a speck of dirt on me, and I'm like, ew.
Imagine like, and it was probably worse with kids because adults like they like because kids like they roll around in anything, they're just playing outside all the time. Especially back then, there was no TV, there's no.
Oh yeah, and they just cough everywhere, and they don't even put their arm or sleeve up. Yeah.
Jeez.
Imagine if they had Cheetos back then too. Oh. The hot Cheeto fingers would be everywhere.
I guess.
Yeah.
I've heard, to go off on a little bit of a tangent, I've heard that, like, the Cheeto dust was, like, specifically invented because they wanted it to, like, stick to your fingers.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, like, before, like, I don't know if, like, there were, like, just regular Cheetos before that, but I know they specifically invented the dust because they wanted it to stick to your fingers. Yeah.
That's interesting.
That would be another...
Oh, they wanted you to, like, taste your fingers so you can taste human flesh so you could want to eat some... No, I'm playing. I'm playing. But, have you seen, like, Flamin' Hot? It was, like, the guy who invented the Flamin' Hot Cheetos, and he was, like, Hispanic. And so, if you haven't seen it, it's a great movie. 10 out of 10 would recommend. It's on Disney+.
Oh, there's a movie about him?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Not sponsored by Disney+.
No, it's on Disney+?
It's on Disney+.
Okay.
Honestly, I recommend if you haven't seen it. But
well, I might just have to get Disney+, which you can get nowadays with this great bundle that they have with ESPN and Hulu.
Yeah.
only $15 a month.
Exactly. Not that we're like... Not that we're sponsored or anything.
Yeah, not sponsored in any way.
Just a tidbit of information.
Yeah. So the Aztec Empire was actually the summation of this larger like group of like alliances. These city-states in central Mexico. I'm going to try to pronounce these the best I can, but I won't make any promises that I'll like do well. There's the Colhuacan, Xochimilco, Culahuac, and Mixquic. Okay, I think I did that one okay. And basically they had this capital at Tenochtitlan. I think I did get that one right. And it was a place basically estimated to be 7 times as big as contemporary London, which honestly just sounds like amazing to see like what, I'm sure there's like remains nowadays in like, Mexico.
Yeah.
But
actually, they actually, I think what was it? I saw an article that they had discovered, and I think not even that long ago, recently discovered some, an abandoned pyramid that was actually like covered in a mountain. So they didn't realize that the mountain was actually a pyramid, and so they're starting to do like excavations like on it.
Interesting.
So yeah, they're pretty cool.
To go off on one more tangent, I always thought that it'd be a great idea to just like take like VR of course, and those like VR goggles that they have to just like take all of these like these ancient civilizations and like the remains that we have and kind of because you can't like touch like just like the physical items, but if you could just like rebuild everything in a way so like people could like go on these like virtual field trips, I feel like that'd be a great idea.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, some of the main pyramids that they did the sacrifices on was like Tenochtitlan, which is when you had mentioned I think it's like called Tecoco. Hopefully, oh man, someone's gonna come for me after that. And then the other one was I think it was Tlacopan. But those were like the 2 main sacrificial places where they would like sacrifice people. Yeah. Oh, speaking of sacrifices, it was essentially a free-for-all. Like, it didn't matter if you were a man, woman, child, like...
They didn't discriminate,
we did not discriminate. We, like, we would kill everyone. Which, it's actually one of the reasons, like, when they, like, when they were colonized, and they saw, like, sacrificial evidence and all the cadavers, and, we would take the skulls and, create... walls with them. They kind of just used the Spaniards just used that as like evidence of like of the people being like barbarians, and they would kind of use that as justification for them going and like taking the land. But yeah, what do you think about that?
I do think it's interesting. I actually researched specifically. I looked up why like societies that like seemed like so advanced to some degree still believed in like sacrificing. And I know it was to appease like basically like their gods, but it was basically that they thought they had a debt that was owed when the gods let blood from themselves to create the world.
Exactly.
And they believed if they didn't sustain the sun with blood, the world would come to an end. So it was like a feeding of the gods.
Yeah, it actually started with the legend of like, I think it was like the 5 gods that they would sacrifice to. And essentially because those gods gave up their life for the humans, they essentially needed the sacrifices to nourish the gods so that they would let humanity continue to live. So they thought that they were doing it like for the greater good. It wasn't just because they, wanted to just go on a rampage and kill everyone.
Yeah.
It was because they genuinely believed it was for the greater good of humanity. And, they wanted to repay the gods. It was supposed to be them repaying them and to make sure that everything would just, continue to work, like they would get rain, they would get sun, they would be prosperous, all that jazz.
I do think it's interesting, like the whole like paying back a debt, because you see that in other religions. Like I was raised Christian originally. I'm agnostic now, but I do think like prayer is kind of like the substitute or worship basically. Just like, you know, worshiping constantly like every week or twice a week if you go to, you know, Wednesday Bible study or anything like that. I feel like that's like a substitute basically. Not saying for human sacrifice. I don't think Christians ever human sacrificed. But I think it's an interesting like kind of topic. And I do wonder, are there any like religions out there really that just like they don't like have that like kind of that concept of, oh, we need to give back or be thankful for.
Well, I know like sacrifices was like it was a very universal thing. Like a lot of cultures like sacrifice, you know, like it was done in Asia, Mesoamericans, you know, like we all like, I would say everyone's culture kind of more or less participated in, if not sacrifice something similar to it. So I can't really think of like, I guess you can say like a religion that does something similar, unless like maybe like pagan like type stuff. I guess you could say, sacrifice like animals. And like, you know, stuff like that. I know. And
then you also have, sorry to interrupt. No, you also have like, I think it was Puritans that just like, like they would like flag each other, kind of like that group, the Flagellants, I think, during like the, what do you call it, the Black Death period, where they would like do that basically to atone for their sins.
Exactly. And which is like a form of sacrifice, you know, like they actually also did that. Well, not exactly that, but the Aztecs also did that as well. You know, they not only did like human sacrifices, they would also, you know, did bloodletting. You know, they would, you know, it was like a form of like self-harm. You know, like they would, you know, like cut themselves in certain areas and like use that blood to give to a sacrifice, so they wouldn't die, obviously, but it was still like a form of like pain to them. And they were like, you know, they were saying like, oh, well, like, you know, this is painful to us. However, in exchange, you know, this will happen, or we will continue to be fine.
It's also interesting how bloodletting has like different connotations, because you're saying here that it's being used basically as a form of sacrifice, but when I think of bloodletting, I always think back, and this is going to be an episode one day, the death of George Washington.
Oh, really?
Yes. So he was having like a lot of throat problems, like just like literally like a year and a half after he left office. And there was one day in particular where everyone was just like, what do we do? What do we do? And they're like, I got an idea. Let's just like bloodlet him, and he should be fine. And they just kept doing that more and more. So he's losing more and more blood. And somebody was like, what if we try this new thing? It's called a tracheotomy, right? So we just like cut a hole and we allow him to breathe. And everyone was like, no, come on. Not none of that newfangled thinking. And he basically, if he had just like been given a tracheotomy, he wouldn't have lived that long, because he was like 70 something.
Yeah, his days were counted.
His days were,
they were numbered.
Yeah. But I just like, it's interesting how like far we've come, like, because in terms of like medical advancements in like the past like 300 years since then. So. But going back to the Aztecs, you know, there's a lot of like accounts that we get from societies like the Aztecs, the Maya, and they're thanks to like their own like written accounts via like pictographic writing, which took a while, honestly, for everyone to like decipher. And in the case of the Aztecs in particular, it's a bit more difficult to determine everything like history-wise, because the Spanish, when they arrived, they burned many Aztec texts.
Exactly.
And a lot of like the information that we do have is due through Spanish writings about their civilization. So it's kind of biased in a way.
It was biased. Yeah. True.
I equate it to, you know, those photos of Shakespeare that you like, if you look up, Google up a photo of Shakespeare, any photos like of Shakespeare that you see.
Oh, that's not even his.
That's not even him.
That's not
it's
even
the
him.
equivalent of like if you, because the person who started drawing those drew those long after Shakespeare was dead. So they're going off like just like accounts of like what he looked like. It's basically if you told like a police sketch artist what I looked like.
Exactly, it would look way different than what you actually look like. And for all we know, he could have been hot.
We'll never know.
But we'll never know.
I think this is a good point to take a little break, so we're gonna play an ad and then we'll be right back. So thank you.
What's up, Titans? Titan Radio is hosting a bowling night on Thursday, October 5th at 7 p.m. Come and hang out with the Titan Radio staff and DJs in the TSU. Bowling will be free until 9 p.m., so make sure you mark your calendars for the 5th, and we'll see you there.
And we are back. Wasn't that a commercial? I actually kind of picked these at random, so I'm not really sure what exactly it is I'm playing. But
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well,
it would be funny if we were talking about human sacrifice. I'm like, all right, so the food pantry, and then. But
oh my gosh, wait, I love that. Well, speaking of the food pantry, what type of people with this Aztec sacrifice also would, maybe you, the viewer, would you be picked to be a sacrifice?
Ooh.
Would you? And the answer is probably. Because, as I mentioned before, literally anyone could be sacrificed. Most of the time, it was just prisoners of war, so mostly men. And actually, the Aztecs and the sorry, I'm going to butcher this, the Tlaxcalans, a neighboring tribe, they actually agreed to a Flowers War, which was essentially a ceremonial battle in which the goal was essentially not to kill each other, but to capture one another's troops as best as they can. So this was really good for, like, if you were, like, this, you know, new hotshot, like, soldier in, like, the Aztec Empire, and you wanted to really make a name for yourselves, you would participate in the Flower War, and you would try to capture as many, opposing warriors as you could, and the more you captured, the more fame you received, and you would be praised for it. You can move up the ranks. So depending on how many you could capture, that's would give you a new social status. And both of these empires, they both agreed to this. They were both different they were both on different sides, and they both came to this agreement because, again, they both believed that what they were doing was something necessary. They weren't blood hungry. They thought like, hey, well, we gotta appease the gods, so let's do this Flowers War, and you might have to sacrifice a bit more of your people, or I'll have to sacrifice a bit more of mine. But at that point, it was kind of more to it became a little bit more of like a social thing, and it kind of weaved its way into like social status as well.
I do find it interesting. I read on this part, I remember reading this when I was doing my research, like, if you were chosen to be sacrificed, you were going to have, like, the best, like, week of your life, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even up to a year, depending on what god you were going to be sacrificed to. Which, speaking of gods, why don't we talk about some of the gods?
Yes.
So we have Huitzilopochtli. Huitzilopochtli, and he was essentially the god of war and the sun. So if you were sacrificed to this god, you would be painted in blue and laid onto a stone atop of one of the temples that I had mentioned, and essentially you would have you would be cut with like an obsidian stone from your torso up to your chest, and then they would rip out your heart while it was still beating. Damn, that's metal. And then your body would be pushed down the temple stairs. And then whoever captured you, like I said, Flowers War, whoever was the warrior or soldier that captured you, your body would be given to them so that they could feast or do what they wanted with your body, which normally was to eat it.
So it's like a bouquet at a wedding, basically, but far worse.
Yeah. Or, the body would be given to, like, nobles and, like, sometimes shared within a community, but mostly it was given back to the soldier or to nobles. And so that's what that's what they would do. So pretty scary to be a sacrifice. Also another actually one of the most powerful gods for the Aztecs was the god of night, sorcery, and destiny, and he was Tezcatlipoca, and he would essentially the way you would go about doing a ritual for this god is, like you had mentioned, Kemdi, is that, you would kind of be, this was more specifically for a boy. So they would select a young boy within the community, and this boy would be living in luxury for like a whole year. up until like a certain amount of time when they thought that he was ready to be sacrificed. So he would be like treated like a god because he was supposed to be the embodiment of a god. So he got like women, he got jewels, he got like luxury, he got like a very nice like, you know, good life for himself. And he would have to play a flute as well. Like he had to play the flute.
I do love that, like, it is kind of sad though, because like you're a kid, you really don't know what's really happening, and then like everyone just starts treating you like you're the second coming of Jesus, and you're like, oh, okay, this is awesome. And then one day you wake up, they drag you over to the stone, they just like rip out your heart.
No,
like...
exactly. And imagine if you don't even like the flute. Imagine if you're like, oh, I kind of wanted to play the clarinet. But it's like, no, the flutes. So, yeah, and then then the boy would be sacrificed exactly like how they would sacrifice for the sun god. Same thing, you know, blade to heart, the whole shebang. The third god that we're going to talk about is Cheetos, and he was the god of fire and heat. And essentially, this one I would say is like a bit more brutal because they would capture animals and obviously other soldier captives from neighboring tribes, and they would burn them. But before they could be burned completely, they would pull them out of the fire and again rip out like their hearts. So imagine you're being burned to death, and then right before you die, actually, because it takes roughly like 15 minutes for you to die in a fire. They would pull you out, take out your heart, do the same thing, throw you back in. But I mean, by then you're definitely dead.
How could you be so heartless?
Kemdi. Yeah, but they would do this to like prevent fires from starting in their crop areas where they were more prosperous, you know. So at least they didn't get fire that way. Another way they would actually do this sacrifice was, again, sacrificing them on a stone to the god. But once they take out the heart, they would light a fire inside of their body where the heart was. And then this one was a bit more like more of a ritual, more of like a community thing. They would use that same fire to light torches that would then light the entire city. So the fire within the body that would be used to light the city.
Sounds like a more extreme version of what they do at the Olympics.
Very. Very. Yeah, and another god. Let's talk about the god of rain and fertility. This one wanted kids. His name was Tlaloc. And he only wanted children sacrifices, and they believed the tears of children were very precious. And this kind of makes me sad, but, you know, archaeologists, and once again, some of the research that was done by Spain obviously is very swayed at the time.
Yeah.
So they were saying because, you know, they wanted the kids to cry a lot, their death would be a lot more brutal to make sure that they cried a lot before their inevitable death. And a lot of the times, these deaths, specifically of the children, would be going on throughout the months leading to the raining season. So, like, when they're about to be receiving rain, they wouldn't stop until they thought that they had an abundant amount of rain. So if it was just a drizzle, it was like, 10 more. Like, like, no. It wasn't until, like, you know, the kids didn't cry enough, you know? So they would have to keep sacrificing them until they saw, like, okay, yeah, like, the god is appeased. So yeah, but on a lighter note, another god, Quetzalcoatl, he did not require any human sacrifice, actually.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
his thank God. Thank God. Thank God. They would mostly just sacrifice little things like birds, little butterflies. You know, that's it. No human sacrifices, as far as I know, at least. But yeah, on a brighter note, just bugs.
Just bugs.
Just bugs. But yeah, I think all of that is pretty wild. Yeah, and actually, I think on one of the sources that I had read, people weren't eaten as often as you would assume. So not every time that they were sacrificed, they would be eaten or it would be done out of pleasure. A lot of the times they just thought it was wasteful to be, just leaving the body as is, especially if it was used for something as sacred as a sacrifice, which is why that they would eat them. So
they were the originators of, there's children starving,
yeah.
and you won't finish your food.
Exactly.
Mm.
Look at all these children that we're making cry. So, yeah.
A bit more on the Aztecs. So the first ruler of the empire was named Itzcoatl. Itzcoatl?
Itzcoatl.
Oh, okay. He was the first of 6 rulers of the empire. He brought about revolutionary changes that concentrated wealth, privilege, and political power in the hands of the empire, in the hands of the emperor, his warriors, and other nobles. Mm. So it was a very aristocratic type society in a way. He also apparently rewrote a lot of their history and altered their religion heavily. So,
you think he was the one that was hungry to eat people? Maybe he had a couple questionable things that he wanted on the menu.
Sometimes it only takes one person, and then when others start to follow.
Yeah.
I also do think it's interesting how we look back on certain societies, and it's like, man, you were so advanced at doing blank, but then but
at the same time, you also ate people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how sometimes things have changed and some things stay the same. There's plenty of cultures nowadays I'm sure you could point out to oh, you're so advanced with this, but you still do this.
Yeah.
So I guess there will always be I don't know.
That's the power of religion, though. I feel when you believe in something so strongly, that's it doesn't matter how advanced you get. If that's your belief system, you're gonna you're gonna stick to that. It's very unwavering. It's very hard for you to change something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Change is hard for people.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a wise man once said, I see no changes. That was Tupac Shakur.
Speaking of Tupac, they caught the guy.
Go off
You guys.
A little tangent.
Took 3 decades, but they caught the guy.
They caught the guy, who was apparently bragging about.
He wrote a whole he wrote a whole book. He went on interviews just bragging about it.
Yeah, it's like how OJ released that book, If I Did It.
Oh my gosh.
It's like people just they make it too easy sometimes.
They really do. They're digging their own grave.
But back to the Aztecs. So we've talked about sacrifice for a bit. Of course, there was the period of Montezuma, which probably at least the first Montezuma, because I didn't know there were 2. Mm-hmm. So the first Montezuma was related to Itzcoatl. And he was, I think, a nephew of him and just a close ally. Mm-hmm. And he was chosen by a council to basically be the next ruler after Itzcoatl's death in 1440. And he basically ushered in the greatest period, in my opinion, for the Aztec Empire. Mm-hmm. So he strengthened the tribute system, began construction on the great temple of Tenochtitlan, which also is where everyone began to learn the universal education. He issued a new legal code that emphasized great differences between the nobility and the commoners. Well, actually, that isn't that great. That's more class divide, if anything. But, he organized a system of compulsory schools for all Mexica boys and girls. Mm-hmm. They also helped indoctrinate them into the beliefs and the rituals of the empire. So basically, they're just
they're we might kill you.
Yeah.
But don't worry, kids, for the greater good. Cry more.
I'm just thinking about that line from Incredibles. This is for the greater good. I'm your wife. I'm the greatest good you'll
ever have. Yeah. I'm the greatest good you'll ever have.
So all boys were trained to be warriors, and then girls learned song, dance, and skills necessary to become mothers of Aztec warriors. Mm-hmm. So, not that great. And then a lot of the warriors, they didn't have really a standing army, because most of their warriors were just like summations of people that they had already conquered.
Yep, exactly.
And it kind of led to their downfall.
It did. Also, they were very, very small. People seem to forget. They were tiny. They were like Smurfs, almost. But yeah, super small. Short people.
You know, I'm never going to get that out of my head now. Just like a bunch of like people doing human sacrifices going like, la, 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 la,
oh my
la,
God.
la, 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 la.
Stop it. We might get canceled for that.
Another interesting... I remember I was watching... I don't know if you've heard of Doctor Who before.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have.
For those of you who don't know, there was a Doctor Who's the show where there's this guy, he's British, he travels with like 2 or 3 people at a time, sometimes just one person, and he'll just go to different periods in history, or more recently he just does like sci-fi stuff, but it used to be like a huge historical show. And I remember one episode in particular, they went to Aztec times, and they believed that one of the people that the Doctor was traveling with was basically a god that had like come back to them. Ooh. And she tried to basically stop them from continuing on with human sacrifices.
Oh. Did that alter like history or something?
Well, the thing is, like, I only remember one specific scene where they tried to stop a sacrifice from happening, and then the guy that was going to be sacrificed was like, "You've like shamed me now." So he jumps off the cliff that he was on.
So he still gets sacrificed.
And then immediately afterwards, rain starts pouring down. So it's like, that was convenient.
You know what? That was convenient. Actually, right now that you were saying that reminded me of, because I would have like these nightmares as a kid because my parents told me like the meaning of my name. And so like I thought it was kind of like creepy because when they first told me the story, the way the story went was that Mixtly had thrown herself into a volcano out of sadness, not that she had died of a broken heart. I guess they didn't. I made the story a little bit more PG for everyone, but really the way they told me was that Mixley had she didn't just die of a broken heart, she freaking threw herself into that volcano like, I'm done. And so like in my I guess the nightmares I would have, I would kind of go back in time, and then I'd be like in an Aztec empire, and they'd be like, the princess, the prophecy must be fulfilled. and then I would be treated nicely for like 5 seconds before like they would try to throw me in. But yeah, you know that like falling feeling you get when you're sleeping, that I would wake up like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always hate that feeling you get when you have like a really intense dream, like it's like scary, and then you wake up in a cold sweat.
Yep, the cold sweat. Yeah. Your heart's still beating. Yeah.
And I don't like when I sometimes, like, it is insane thinking back to, like, that can't happen in like, a real life. I don't know why I didn't think that was a dream, but, like, it just feels so real.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and, like, in your dreams, you run away slower than, like, you normally would. You're like, why is it going in slow motion?
Like, yeah. I remember recently, like, I was at, like, I was back in my old elementary school, and then there was like somebody trying to attack us, and so I hid in the trunk of like a car in the parking lot for safety. But like I don't know how the trunk got opened. I don't know who unlocked the car, and I don't know
you don't
like
know how any of it happened.
Why I decided to go in the trunk, but I did.
That's a smart idea.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I do think our dreams mean things.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's your subconscious trying to talk to your conscious mind.
So we're going to take another break, talk about some more Aztec stuff, maybe ramble on about some other stuff, and then we'll end the show eventually. So, yeah.
Eventually.
Titan Radio would like to thank The Frida, a nonprofit art house movie theater located in Santa Ana. For more information, visit thefridacinema.org.
You talking to me?
The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
There's a flesh wound.
Wax on, hat. Wax off.
I know Kung Fu. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
They're here.
And we are back. So...
Hey.
Something interesting, Aztecs only really go back a couple centuries prior to the Spanish arrival. of course, I previously mentioned they formed a bunch of city-states together to form the empire. And the empire grew as a result of 4 things: trade, religion, cultural influence, and then conquering. Mm. And it is kind of ironic that the conquerors became the conquered.
Yeah. They were really rolling with the punches for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were killing it. Yeah. Until,
of course, the Spanish came over, Montezuma, Cortez, and it was a combination of the rebellion, which is kind of funny because, as I record this, we're in the year 2023, which I am going to deem the year of the unions striking. In a way, you could say that the people that the Aztecs formed their own type of union, and they struck, except instead of striking, they rebelled. And it's a combination of that and smallpox blankets that kind of just wiped the empire out.
Yeah.
And it is sad because there was a lot of advancements technologically. A lot I think could have really helped if I think just in general, it really, this is the most understated, overstated thing, but conquering, bad thing. And it sucks that we just kind of wiped out these different groups of people. I just think we could have been so much better, so much more advanced as a people, a society, just human race in general, if we just kind of learned how to, all kind of live together and just kind of workshop everything that we we all do. If we had just taken the best aspects of every culture, I feel over time we would have kind of we wouldn't, we still wouldn't be perfect, but I feel it would have helped to weed more of the stuff out that we still deal with problem wise today.
Yeah, and I think that's just been our issue throughout so many years. It's everybody thinks that what they're doing is best. And so, when they were conquering all these people, and obviously they saw what they were doing, they only saw them as barbarians, so it never left that opportunity, that chance to see beauty within the culture, to see all the advancements within the culture. Because obviously it was more, we're talking about the ugly here. We're talking about the killing, the cannibalism, the brutality. But, there was more to it than just that.
There was soccer.
There was soccer. And some pretty intense soccer, because that thing would be so high. And it's how would they have gotten the ball all the way up there? And they were so small too. They either had I don't know, some superhuman kicking or aliens.
They say Ronaldo's the GOAT. They say Messi's the GOAT. I want to see them play against the Aztecs.
Honestly.
Yeah.
They weren't playing around.
All right, that's what, four good puns right there. I feel we've
exercised that enough.
Our new quota for this podcast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Has been met.
Yes.
Not the rain gods quota, though, apparently, this year, because clearly it's been dry.
It's October, yeah. And I feel it rained more during June.
It did. I guess there was more kids crying during that time. I don't know. Gotta kick a kid on your way out.
We're in midterm season currently as we record this, so a lot of kids crying. Should be relatively soon.
Yeah, or maybe they just don't like that we're older.
Yeah, that could be it.
They're just we don't want the older ones. Give us the little kid. I kind of don't want my voice to be taken out of context, or for anything I say to be taken out of context.
Oh no, don't worry. It's not like we it's not like I clip these particular episodes or anything like that. It's literally just the full podcast, so it's no one can take you out of context.
Oh, okay, word. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
They're gonna be she said to kick a kid. Mixley hates kids.
Well, Aztecs, Maya, and Maya were the ones that thought the world was going to end in 2012, right?
That I don't know, but I can search it up for you real quick.
Okay. While she does that, I'm just going to say everything I know about the whole 2012 thing. I knew it was a big deal. The world was going to end on December 12th.
2012.
They even made like a movie about it. It came out like 3 years too early, but it was like a good warning, so everyone that like wanted to prepare could prepare. But you know, the world was going to end. What are you going to prepare for?
I thought it was based on the Aztec calendar, but I'm gonna double check. I thought
Aztec?
it was.
Okay.
Well, I think the thing is that they just never finished the calendar.
Oh, well yeah, okay. Well, that makes sense. Well,
I'm gonna show, if I ever have kids, I'm gonna show them like 2012 and be like, that actually happened in nice. Oh wait, it was the Mayan calendar.
It was the Mayans?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, it was just miscommunication, you guys. But hey, we got a movie out of it.
Yeah, I remember that movie.
Yeah.
I remember. Like, just like everything was falling apart, and I was so paranoid. I was like, "Oh my gosh! Like, why are we even going to school like right now? Like, we need to go to we need to get on the ship that everyone else is going to be on."
Like, this is gonna happen in Tokyo, and you want me to go to soccer practice? Nah.
I honestly thought that movie was like sort of like a retelling of like the Noah's Ark thing, because it's like the world ends, nobody believes anyone except for this one guy. He gets like his family and some other people to like
Animals.
this boat. Yeah.
Yeah. The unicorns missed that boat.
The unicorns. Unicorns aren't real, right?
No.
Okay.
No, they're not real.
I wonder where they came from. Like,
Just
was
like
it just
folklore, like just
folklore?
myth. Yeah. Kind of like elves and like gnomes. Or like,
Well, gnomes are like. Well, when I think of gnomes, I think of garden gnomes.
You think of a garden gnome? Yeah, I know.
Specifically, I don't know if you remember this movie, Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cute. Oh, and their little hats. One was red and one was blue. You're red. You're blue.
Which, could be taken another way, because, like, some people think red, blue, L.A., you get that in there? Yeah.
Okay. I didn't think of it that way.
So, and it was sad how, like, instead of, like, taking poison at the end, they just got smashed.
Oh, yeah. I think that's traumatic. That's traumatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they made a sequel that I never saw called Sherlock Gnomes.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
I had no idea that they made a sequel.
Yeah.
I feel like sequels are very forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to, like, be a really memorable sequel, or, like, do something like...
Lion King 1.5.
Or Lion King 2. Nobody remembers Lion King 2. Simba's Pride.
Oh, I remember it because of the lion. That was Scar's son.
Yes.
And, like, everyone had a crush on the lion. I'm not saying that I had a crush on the lion, but I'm saying a lot of people did. It was a very popular anthropomorphic... Oh, no, wait, no, he wasn't. It was... Oh, the Goofy movie. They were anthropomorphic animals.
Goofy movie, yeah.
Yeah. But I guess a lot of people like Roxanne from the Goofy movie. Yeah. Do you watch it?
The Goofy movie or The Lion King?
The Lion King. Or I guess we know both.
Well, I've seen The Lion King. I used to own the VHS for The Lion King 2 and The Lion King 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened to them.
Yeah.
And then a Goofy movie I actually used to own on VHS, along with an extremely goofy movie. But I had one of these TVs in my grandma's house in my like little room.
The dinosaur TVs.
Yeah, and it had like a VHS player attached to it. And I guess one day I put the VHS tape in it the wrong way, and it got stuck in there.
Oh,
so the VHS just doesn't work anymore. So I could just I could only use the TV part of it, which sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah,
be like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To go off on like a further tangent, let's not even like pretend like we're talking about the Aztecs anymore.
I think the Aztecs would have loved Lion King.
I think circle of life, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So.
They would totally agree. They'd be like, see, because of that.
There's that thing that like Mufasa says, where he's like, when we die, our bodies become the grass, and the antelopes eat the grass.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know if that works, does it? I don't think that's fair, because like you're eating, gazelle alive, like you're at least dead. Like when the antelopes are eating, you're.
That's true.
Yeah.
Whatever. I think the Aztecs would agree.
I remember I used to when I first started doing this podcast, one of the biggest problems I have is that we'd have these like small sections. I mean, like now like I'm like good at like editing and stuff like that, especially with like Premiere or not Premiere Pro. This is Audition, so I could like just like cut out those like awkward silences.
Oh,
but I do feel like I'm not gonna cut any right now because I feel like they added the humor of this episode.
Keep them.
But I used to have like a lot where like we literally have like a good point and then like I wouldn't have anything else. Then we go like.
So anyways.
Yeah.
You should include a clip of like Nicki Minaj when she's like moving on, like she's like moving on, or what if she says something like that? She'll be like, anyways.
I've heard her say something like that. I don't remember exactly what it is.
She'll be like, okay, let's move on. I want to hear Nicki Minaj's voice.
What do you think about like? Do you feel like? I feel like the tier is like Nicki Minaj and then Cardi and then Ice Spice.
Oh, honestly, I don't listen to Ice Spice enough to be able to make a judgment. Like
I just know that one song by her.
Oh yeah, I didn't like it. Not to say that she's like bad or anything. I just didn't like that one song. I don't really know anything about Ice Spice.
I don't either.
I like her name though, Ice Spice. It's catchy. It's
I
flowy.
actually thought she was one of the Spice Girls.
I think everyone thought she was one of the Spice Girls. Yeah.
It does sound like a Spice Girl's name.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it does sound like that. But I wouldn't know. I do like Cardi B though. I think she's really funny. I think when I think of Cardi B, I always think of like that time she was on that show, and like this one girl had like accused her of like taking her man or whatever, and then she I think this was when she was like, "What was the reason? What was the reason?" And then, like, she went to the guy, she sat on him, and she started teasing the girl, and I was like, bro, that was the most immature thing I've ever seen in my entire life, but it was so funny.
I remember this one time, she was on a show with her sister.
Yeah, I think it was that one.
Yeah, and she was basically like, yeah, I stole, like, your purse or something like that, or, like, something from you when we were younger, and, like, the entire time, I'm just thinking, oh, sister's gonna get slapped when the show's over.
No, I think if my sister admitted something like that to me, I'd be like, okay, so where's it at? So give it back.
Sometimes you just, like, you hold grudges sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think... Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. No. Go ahead. I think
my top tier of, like, rapper, even though she only has, like, a couple albums out, Lauryn Hill. I feel like she's my favorite, like, female rapper. Oh, she released only one album on her own called The Miseducation Lauryn Hill, and she was also in the Fugees.
Oh, was she? Oh,
yeah.
That's interesting. I don't know who that is, but you know what? I'll listen to her later because you recommended. I sometimes like I don't know. I kind of wonder like what it would have been like growing up as a kid, like in the Aztec.
I thought you were going to say growing up as a kid. And I was like,
no, I was never a kid. When I was born this age. It was like a Benjamin Button type situation. Yeah, except I keep aging regularly like everyone, but like, yeah, I actually didn't come out of a womb. I was just sprouted. Came from the earth. You're welcome. I was a gift from the gods. But, yeah, because I saw, doing my research for this, because I was like, damn, I really need to try to get these stuff factually correct because we're not trying to spread misinformation.
Yeah.
I like came across a video of like, oh, what it would have been like to grow up as a kid in like the Aztec Empire and you know, like back in those times if you were living in there. And I didn't watch it. But I'm assuming some things that I did read, which I will watch it later, and maybe I'll give Kemdi an update. He can tell you guys something the next episode. But I did read like a lot of the stuff that you had mentioned that like the boys would essentially be like taught to like, you know, like hunt, gather, you know, get the other two people so we can sacrifice that. But and then the girls would you know, later on be you know, they would teach them to cook, to weave, you know, do all that kind of stuff. And it kind of made me think of different things that we would do culturally, like, that are very similar to things, like, in other countries. Like, for example, we have, like, a quinceañera, and it's essentially supposed to represent, like, women coming of age. And, like, originally it was made to to present the daughter of like a family as like eligible for marriage. So once she turned 15, that was like, okay, you can start popping a couple kids now. But now we don't use it as that. And you know, now Hispanic people we use it to kind of just like to party, to like kind of celebrate a girl, you know, becoming a woman, becoming an adult. And it's just for funsies. It's no longer like it's not that deep anymore. It's not to give us away. But I think it's really cool. And you know, I think of like other cultures that also do similar stuff like that, you know, where they like celebrate like the coming of age of a kid. And do you know anything of that, or like is that something you maybe or like I guess like something similar to that in like another
Of course
culture?
There's in America they have Sweet 16.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, which I mainly know because of the MTV show.
Oh, we love that MTV show. Yeah, it was super funny. I like it when they would have like a mental like breakdown because the parent didn't get them the specific car that they wanted.
Yeah,
they were like, I wanted a Ferrari and you got me a Maserati. Like, unbelievable. Yeah, that was ridiculous. I just want a car that I don't have to like get fixed all the time, to be honest. Sorry, I'm just casually dying over here. That's my bad. No worries. Sorry, listeners. That's my bad. I know that's not very ASMR of me. That would be like that'd be an interesting concept for like a podcast episode. It's just like, hey guys, I'm a little sick, and then it's just a bunch of people with COVID. Just gosh. I saw this like one clip. It was like this girl, she was doing ASMR, but it was very specific types of ASMR. She was like, oh, I'm like your friend from the early 2000s and I'm being very mean to you. And so she was like chewing gum and she was like, yeah, I just got my nails done. Have you tanned? Yeah, you need it. And it's just... Yeah, so it was just like random stuff like that. I was like, what the hell is that? You see, like when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, we're never gonna like stop coming up with new ideas. Oh, we're never. I was like, just when I thought ASMR couldn't get any more interesting. AI can't do this, you know. I know. So we're just about ready to wrap things up. I'd like to thank Mixtly for being on today's episode. Was this your first podcast ever, or? Yeah, it was. Did you enjoy the experience? I did, very much so. Oh, you might catch me in the Struggle Bus if you haven't heard of it before. Yeah, and maybe the host of the Struggle Bus might be on here someday. Exactly. Hopefully, if things go well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess we're going to wrap it up here. We talked about a lot. We talked about the Aztecs. We talked about human sacrifice. We talked about female rappers for a little bit. We talked about, you know, just everything from this corner to that corner. So I'd thank everyone again. Check out the next episode when it comes out. Thank you and goodbye.